crime is rising, it's out of control, and it's largely due to the policies of the DC government inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement. Black Lives Matter has been in the news a lot recently because they support murderous terrorists in Israel who want to kill every Jew in the land there. Let's be blunt. They're a far-left communist organization that hate the police and hate America and responsible for countless violent deaths and destruction in 2020 and since, and whose policy prescriptions echo through our major cities as a result of their war on the police. And people are dying to this day because of the policies initiated by this movement. And so what did the DC government do? They basically painted a monument to the movement just outside the White House. And you can go back and look at the description as to why they set up what they now call Black Lives Matter Plaza. It was to commemorate the violent rioting outside the Trump White House that nearly saw the White House overrun and sent Trump into the basement because the Secret Service thought he was going to get killed if he didn't. And DC government, the leftists running the DC government, used tax dollars to shut down the street, paint Black Lives Matter. Defund the police was also painted by protesters. They left that up for a bit. They finally took it down. And it's still there to this day. And so what we did in light of Black Lives Matter's support for Hamas, we asked the DC government, tell us what's going on there with Black Lives Matter Plaza, the taxpayer support for it, Hamas, etc. And we got documents showing back in August they spent $270,000 repainting the darn sign. They spent $53,000 or more or less for paint and supplies, and $217,000 on labor. Now, is it too much money to do what they did? I don't know. People can argue over that. It's the government. They spend a lot of money. It was a big sign. But I can tell you that the Black Lives Matter Plaza, they spent at least $7 million, well over it, setting it up. And they continue to honor that anti-American racist movement here in DC. And they spent all that money, rather than tearing it apart and opening the street up to the public as it should have been, as crime skyrockets in our nation's capital. You name it, crime is rising, it's out of control, and it's largely due to the policies of the DC government inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, I just saw the other day there was a person convicted of shooting someone in the back and murdering him with 2 other people. And he went to jail. You know how long he's going to jail for? 12 years. 12 years for murdering someone. And, we can go through story after story about young people who are repeat offenders being let out. But you have this it's one thing to have this anti-American communist revolutionary ideology. It's another thing to have government officials promoting it. So that's what's so objectionable about it. Now, by way of, I don't know if you remember this, but when they painted Black Lives Matter on the street, we wanted to get equal time. We wanted to paint Judicial Watch's motto, which should be unobjectionable, because no one is above the law, which is our motto and motivation, on the street near here in Washington, near to our headquarters here in Washington, D.C. We would have done it anywhere, really, in some respects. And we sued, and of course they didn't want to let us do it. And the government said that the court said we couldn't do it because the government had a right to free speech and they didn't have to give us equal time. Some garbage decision like that. So, and of course, the Biden administration helped them shut down that street. And, now it's harder to get around the District of Columbia, our nation's capital, because of that shutdown over there. And so the most prominent signage near the White House for America is a giant sign on the street, Black Lives Matter, painted with your tax dollars. And it's local money in the sense that, the DC government appropriates it. But the DC government relies on the federal government for the a good bulk of its spending, and so you can be sure your money helped fund it as well. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.